let's bring in Atari from Georgia, the country, who wants to talk about abortion. Atari.
Hello.
So you have opinions on abortion.
I want to talk about that abortion is murder. So my argument is that it has the characteristics of life, like response to environment, regulation, growth, etc. What would you say about it?
Why do you think it's murder?
Because it has characteristics of life, as I just said, like growth, ability to grow, reproduction, response to the environment, and etc.
It's not, Atari, it's not legally considered murder. So why do you think it's murder?
That's irrelevant. Legality has nothing to do with the fact of its factors.
Okay, Jimmy.
Laws can be defined.
Yeah, well.
So what would you say about the fact that it has properties of life?
So it has properties of life, and so therefore ending it is murder. So that I think the legal system that I was brought up in, and what Richard just said, where he comes from, murder or abortion is not synonymous with murder, despite having the properties of life. I think what you're trying to ascribe to it is, considering a fetus or an unborn child, no matter the state, no matter the length of the term that we're in, you're considering it all one and the same. The problem with that is we as a society, we as a world, this conversation has not yet been solved. It's still going on. We are in a kind of a milestone, I would say, in human intellect, where we are all kind of taking a look at technology and taking a look at the very nuanced circumstances that could lead to abortion of all kinds, in all stages, between all kinds of different people, and trying to figure out what's considered acceptable and what's not. Your very hard-lined approach, I think, alienates a lot of people from joining that conversation and criminalizes people who, are not really looking to do something bad. It would in the end criminalize medical professionals, criminalize people who might not be in the best position for safety wise. It could be at risk. The child could be at risk. And so these conversations have to go on, and hardlining it with the label of murder, kind of prevents us from progressing.
Do you think, Atari, that in all cases, abortion is bad? Atari, do you think that in all cases abortions are bad?
If by all cases you mean a direct termination of the pregnancy, then yes.
Okay, so and I know from previous conversations that you're a Christian. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes.
So why do you think that all abortions are bad when in Numbers 5:27 it's actually suggested that women should have an abortion in some circumstances?
I mean, I can answer that, but why are you switching the conversation? I wanted to talk about it biologically.
Right. Okay, so I know you don't want to talk about that, but I want to talk about that, and as it's my show, that's what we're going to be talking about. Unfortunately, if you if you think that abortions are bad in all kind of situations, why is it that in the Bible it seems that abortion is actually supported in some circumstances? Do you just not agree with the Bible?
Bible does not talk about abortion in those cases, and besides, you are not supposed to interpret it. I don't know if you are a Protestant beforehand, but
okay. So, Atari, if you're not supposed to interpret it, why is it that the Bible says abortion is okay and you're against abortion in all cases?
It doesn't say that. And as we have seen with Protestants, we can't interpret the Bible because everyone will have the contradictory.
Well, you can interpret the Bible now.
We have the church. We have the church.
So you can interpret the Bible when it suits you to interpret it.
We have the church established in the 1st century, and ever since then, abortion was condemned. First catechism.
So we just throw everything in the Old Testament out before the 5th century then? Do we just dismiss the entire Bible before the entire Old Testament?
Well, Old Testament also condemns Bible. I mean, abortion in the sense that it says in 4th commandment or 3rd commandment, I think.
That's absolutely wonderful, Atari, but you said that abortion was okay in all circumstances, and the Bible disagrees with you. So are you now saying that we should just throw everything in the Old Testament out because it's before the 5th century?
Your interpretation of it is wrong.
But it's not wrong because the Bible specifically tells us that in some on some occasions abortion is okay. The actual thing it says is if she had made herself impure and been unfaithful to her husband, this will be the result. When she is made to drink the water that brings a curse and causes bitter suffering, it will enter her abdomen, it will swell her womb and miscarry, and she will become a curse. That is what people who are faithful to God are told to do in that circumstance. That's not my interpretation. That is what the Bible says. It specifically gives instructions for carrying out abortions.
Abortion is, so who are you to tell us otherwise? But besides,
we're people that have voices and opinions. We're allowed to challenge this ancient book, and in Richard's case, he's not even challenging it. He's citing it. He's citing it as a source of information that actually goes against what you're saying. And so for you to ask him, well, who is he to bring this up and who is he to comment on that? I mean, you should be able to explain your holy book in a way that Richard could understand if you think that his interpretation is wrong, which is, by the way, not even an interpretation. It's a word for word recital of what is in that book. So I don't want you to kind of, muddy our conversation by moving on. I think that you have reached a point where you have to justify this. Abortion is murder, in your opinion, in all cases, but God says abortion is okay. How do you rectify the differences between those two positions?
I don't know about those specific verses. But as I said, since our church teaches that abortion is wrong, then it can't be contradiction. There can't be contradiction.
Well, your church teaches you that abortion is wrong, but you have the right to examine whether or not what you're being taught is actually correct. You don't have to sit back and say, well, so-and-so told me something, or this person that I trust told me something, so it has to be true. People are wrong all the time, and that's why we have to have these conversations. You are perfectly capable, and you have every right to have your own opinion after doing the work yourself and thinking for yourself, figuring out for you what is best for Otari. What does Otari believe? You don't have to just go and believe everything just by default because your leader says you have to believe it. That's not leadership, and that's not putting you in a position to come up with kind of your own thoughts. You have to be your own person.
Bible didn't come out of nowhere. It was proposed and defined by the church canonically. So how could it be?
How do we know that that's correct? Just because Your church said that abortion is wrong. How do we know that your church is correct?
When it contradicts the Bible, I might add.
True. Yeah. Otari, is it possible that some of the people who you look to as leaders could be wrong sometimes?
No.
You know, okay. Well, we're in a dilemma, my friend. We are in a dilemma because by giving somebody that kind of power, you are basically
God to protect them infallibly.
Yeah. So again, what I was saying.
Talk about religion. I wanted to ask about biology.
Yeah, we've kind of. I think we've done with talking, Atari. I think you really need to go away and seriously consider why your beliefs and the beliefs of those people you look up to as religious leaders directly contradict the Bible. Because it seems like the people you're looking up to are putting themselves above God, and the orthodoxy of those religious decisions are putting themselves above God, who directly instructs that a woman should go and drink the water that brings a curse and causes bitter suffering to cause her an abortion. It's in the Bible, my friend. I suggest you go away and study it. Thank you, Atari, for your call. I'm sorry that we didn't get to the subjects you wanted to talk about, but I think it's very important to kind of point out where you're probably going quite wrong in relation to the things you believe in. I think when both myself and Jimmy asked Atari questions, I think his silence spoke far more words than any of us could have spoken.